Hello and welcome to part 4 of my Business Achievement and Success Challenge, and this is the second video in the series. The first one covered part 1, which was all about building hope, optimism and a better attitude. Now this one, part 2, is about building a balanced life. Now here I'm not going to teach you a range of techniques. I'm going to take you through a short reflective process. The challenge to you is take the workbook and a worksheet and think through your own life on your own terms and in your own time. You can do it while you're listening to me, but this is something that takes reflection and going away and sitting and thinking. All I'm going to do is take you through the process and ask you to think about a few things so you can understand why I'm doing it. It's very simple but important. So with that, let's start on part 2, building a balanced life. So there's 2 questions that I asked, and I don't ask them from business people all the time. I do not do fundamental life coaching. I tend to do business coaching, and if something else is inquired, I can do that. But what do I want? That is a question we all need to ask ourselves all the time. What do I want? And get clear on it and why I want it. I've got a simple technique when I talk to people to figure some of this out. A lot of the things that we want is emotional reasons for that. We want something because of how we feel about that. But that's not what I'm going to talk about in detail. And then how much is enough? And the joke goes is always just a little bit more. And that is the fundamental problem with us. I don't think we should actually be totally and utterly self-satisfied, because that will take ambition away. It will create no progress. That is not good for me, for my community and society at large. But reflecting on that and getting a good understanding of this will help to balance life. So with that, I would suggest start with yourself and do 3 things. Adopt an inside-out approach. Who am I? What do I believe? What do I like? What don't I like? And how do I operate? And then stay positive. Look at my first video, which is about building optimism in this part. And then lastly, make sure that you look at your own purpose and values. What is your purpose in life? What is your values? Look at that. So start with yourself. Do some reflection around that. Then strike a balance. Now, to strike a balance, I would suggest you do these 2 things. Look at these areas to balance. And I've divided them into number 1, personal, which is almost all about me, the internal me. What makes me up, and how do I balance within myself? And then life in general, which is the part where I interact with everyone else. Now, to get personal balance, I would suggest you look at this: intellectual and emotional stimulus. What stimulates you intellectually and mentally? Sorry, not emotionally. What stimulates you in that way? What is important to you? What do you like? Then, what is your emotional? What creates emotions for you? Positive emotions, not negative ones. Then, spiritual goals that you may have. So what would you like to achieve in these areas, intellectually, mentally, or emotionally, or spiritually? Physical. How would you like to be physically? What is your physical issues that you want to look at? And then lastly, material. Money, clothing, goodies, cars, nice house. That's all about the me aspect of it. And I think if we look at those areas, by the way, what I'm doing is not the so-called holy grail of how to do it. You can actually develop your own set of rules. What I'm saying is this is a good breakdown for you to start thinking about what makes up you. And then the other area is life balance. And what I mean by there is, again, personal, which is all the issues I just mentioned. So you've got to look at yourself, the me aspect. But you'll see from here the me aspect is not the overriding reason we exist. So look at family, look at friends, and by family I mean children, cousins, wife, partner, everyone, okay? Friends. Business, work, and career. We all have business, work, and career objectives. What are they? And then a balance in terms of social. What is the social goals you may have? Now, if you strike this balance and you make sure you spend time and you are satisfied in each of those areas, that is the route to a balanced life. It's that simple. I'm not talking here about go out and conquer the world. This is about conquering your life and yourself, and take the time to reflect on that. So that's what I mean by think and reflect widely. And yeah, I do not just mean on what I want in my society and my family want. Let's look at the broader issues in society. We are not animals. We can vote. We can decide who governs us. We can make many decisions about our own life, that and how we impact on our society, even if it's on the smaller scale. So the things I would suggest you look at is to pursue your own objectives depends on this. And you know where I got this from? If you are familiar with the triangle of Maslow, his hierarchy of needs, which starts with physiological, safety, social, esteem, self-actualization needs, and a lot of business books, most of them will have that in somewhere and talks about how to motivate people using these needs. Maslow was quite surprised that it's used that way and never actually encouraged that, by the way. And you know what Maslow himself said? Now, I'm not going to quote him word for word here, but this is what he said, that the hierarchy of needs, being motivated and even actualizing ourselves as human beings, living out our full potential, is dependent on this. Liberty. It's dependent on fairness and justice. It's dependent on our rights not being trampled upon. It's dependent on you being able to keep what you worked for. Many parts of the world that is not the case sometimes. And choose who will govern you, and you can imagine how many places that isn't happening. Now, if we are in those type of situations, we should rejoice and we should enjoy it, but we should also make sure that we keep it that way, that we play a small part. So I'm saying, look at yourself, look at your balance, look at your own goals, but let's look at the wider society, because there is some purpose in participating in that. Another thing is a person called Charles Handy who said this. Now, I'm not going to read this, and you don't read this, you can read it word for word if you want to, but it's very well put. A society founded on individualism could fall apart without the glue of fraternity introduced by the French revolutionist. I would actually say also the American revolutionist, by the way. And they added to liberty and equality, they added fraternity, or the awareness that there are others who are as important as oneself. That's what I mean by think widely. I don't say spend all your time on this. We cannot solve the world's problems. But we can have a broad agreement about what people are doing and what they are doing to create a better society, country, community, world. So, where do we start now? So I would again go right back to saying we start by taking action. Everything starts with an action. Writing too much and doing too little is never a good idea. And then ask some very simple questions. And those are going to revolve around this, right? What will provide me with the following? Number one, peace of mind, health and energy. What will give me peace of mind? What will give me health and energy? What will give me loving relationships? And what will give me financial freedom? Now you can see those goals there are coming right down back to let me do something about my life again. Think widely, reflect, but spend your time on making yourself more effective, because when you're effective for yourself, you will always be more effective for others. So this is best achieved if you do this. Understand yourself, and I suggest if you go through some of that videos on hope and optimism and how you think and tune into your internal dialogue, and then look at the balance of your life, that will help with that. Then focus on fulfilling yourself, your highest aspirations, what gives you esteem, what makes you proud of yourself, what makes you energized, what makes you feel that you are doing what you are meant to do. And then set goals that are worthwhile and exciting. Now, a goal that's worthwhile and exciting is not necessarily some goal just to help the whole world. That is good. It is also a goal to improve your skill in some area. It could be very specific. So that could be worthwhile and exciting to you. Just improving how you write a report, or how you speak, or how you present something, or improving how you tie your tie. Anything can be worthwhile and exciting. I'm not just talking about those big order things like Charles Andy quoted. That's important. I'm saying take a big perspective. But maybe all we all want, and I'm going to end with this, is love, joy, and peace. If I have that, do I not have everything? And the question I'm going to ask you with this is, what will give you love, joy, and peace? And the other question I'm going to ask is, how can you create that for others? Because I always have two questions I ask people. In business, you always, when you deal with people, there's a very simple question. If they want you to do something, what is in it for me? What's in it for me? 5 simple words. It's all about, what can you do for me? What benefit can you bring here? Can you bring any benefit to the table? What's in it for me? But you know what's the other hand that I can think we should think about? What difference can I make? So what's in it for me to get this? And what difference can I make to create this? With that, I'll leave you with some reflection. I do hope this has helped you, and I do hope to see you in the next video, number 5, where I'm going to reflect on some key business issues. All the best, and live a healthy, wonderful, balanced life.